Hey, what's up? This is Chris Motionless from Motionless in White, and you are both watching and listening to Linea Rock.
Hi Chris.
Hello.
Welcome to Milano, welcome to Linea Rock.
Very happy to be here.
Good to have you here. Okay, so Cerulli, Sola and Mauro, before we had Costanza and Parente, all sound like Italian surnames.
Many of them.
Okay, so do you have Italian origins actually?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's funny you say my last name like that. We say Cerulli, but I know it's Cerulli.
Cerulli,
yeah,
right.
It's so funny.
Where are you from? Or your family actually?
My grandparents on my father's side are, I don't remember where in Italy they're from. I want to say Sicily.
Okay.
I'm not
so
entirely
the south.
sure.
Okay.
I should have called and asked before this interview. Yeah, I believe they're southern Italy. I don't know. I know that there's some on my mom's side too. I'm not too familiar with it, but I am quite Italian. I think the nose gives it away.
Good. Okay, so you come from Scranton, which is an industrial city with blue collar spirit.
Yes.
Working hard is an attitude that comes, you know, from your roots, and it seems that you are definitely proud of it. But what you ended up doing feels also like a reaction to it. Like, you know, that you wanted to be free, you wanted more, you wanted the world.
Yes.
So, how can you discuss on that?
I wanted the world. That's so powerful. I wanted the world. Sounds very villainous. That totally distracted me from your question. What was the actual question at the end? I heard you wanted the world, and I needed,
yes, the fact, you know, that coming from an industrial city, you know, blue collar spirit.
Yeah.
Working hard is, you know, like the attitude that you got from there.
Yes.
But what you're doing seems also a reaction to it, that you want to go away, you know.
I wouldn't exactly say it was go away. I mean, the happiest place in the world for me to go after a tour is to go home back to Scranton, and I wouldn't say it was to go away. It was just that I felt like, I don't know, like you kind of feel stuck in the same spot, and you long to just kind of grow as a human being. And being in that area, when you're a teenager, I feel like it's kind of a little bit more the strength of the need to get out and branch out and get out of your hometown is kind of just there. You want to get out of school, you want to just branch out, meet new people and travel. But for me, it was just, I wanted to create music and create things that I loved in any form of art, and use that as a way to help me explore the world, like you said.
Okay.
It's interesting now because, like I said, the happiest place for me to go is back home. You know, when a tour's over after, you know, 2 months or whatever, and you get to go home and just see your house and your family, it's the most like rewarding feeling ever. So maybe in some weird subconscious way, I was searching for a way to appreciate what was there in front of me the whole time. I'll say that.
Okay. The band started in 2005, 2006,
yes.
So it's about 12 years of Motionless in White. You know, from emo, metalcore, gothic, but basically you're still defined as modern rock band. So that means that your sound, you know, stood up to date in all these years. How did your sound and the whole project evolve through the years from your point of view, and what's your concept of modern?
Ooh, my concept of modern. I think that our sound has, nothing that we do today to me feels like it came out of nowhere. I think that you can hear elements of what the band is today very early on, especially starting with the first full length that we did, or the first, you know, actual album on Fearless called Creatures. I think you can tell in a lot of that where we ended up today. Where we are now, the current album is just kind of a a look back at everything that we've done and where the band is at now, and bringing it all together to form one milestone for the band. It's like the 10-year anniversary album. It looks at everything that the band has done, the favorites of the fans, the favorites of ourselves, and melded it all into one to become that like I said, that 10-year milestone moment of evolution and progression. And I wouldn't say that it's modern. I think a lot of it is a look back to our influences of the 90s and early 2000s. I think that more of our band has an old school feel than it does a modern feel, and I like that. I like that it doesn't sound like exactly like any other band that came out right around the same time period. It sounds, all the bands that we're always compared to, for better or for worse, are bands that blew up in the 90s or early 2000s, and I love that. I mean, if we have to be compared to people, I'm happy that it's at least the people that we love and that are our musical heroes and influences, and that's really cool to me. So I don't know what modern is. I don't know what anything is. I don't know what any genre is these days. I've heard them all, and I don't care about any of them, so whatever.
You stated that on the new album, Graveyard Shift, you put more focus on the vocals. That includes the lyrics as well. And at which point this change of approach started for you? Which was the spark?
I think the spark was that when the last album, Reincarnate, came out, I felt like we had created a really good album that I was happy with, but I still didn't feel like the band was hitting its max potential. I was just so happy on that album that we felt like we had finally made an album that was exactly what the band wanted, just exactly what the band was, and what its identity was evolving into the whole time. And with Graveyard Shift, I felt like the last remaining piece that hadn't been touched earlier was the vocals, and that's because I'm coming from a point where I consider myself to be more of a musician. I spend a lot of time working on the music for the band and not enough time on the vocals in the past, and the vocals are always kind of get pushed off to the very end and don't get their due time. But this one, it was like, okay, the last piece, the last missing piece of the puzzle here is that I need to embrace that I'm a vocalist, and I need to step up and really approach it with the mentality that if I'm going to be the vocalist in this band, which I have been and will continue to be, you need to be the vocalist of the band. And that was kind of a really present thought throughout the whole creative process, and that's when I think we just took our time with this album, and I tried so many new things vocally, and I tried to really there's so many, whether it was just finding a harmony that I liked for a melody of a chorus, or whether it was finding out different ways to approach different parts. Normally I always do, like in the verses of our songs, I do kind of more of like a talky approach to a lot of them, and this one I was like, no, you're gonna try to sing and stop falling into your old habits. And it was just pushing myself to just do a lot of different things vocally and step outside of the box and approach it with the intention of being the vocalist of Motionless in a way for the first time.
You also wrote your very first love song, Eternally Yours. Is there anyone special in particular behind its inspiration, and why now?
It's not about any one person. I mean, the story, it's a very metaphorical story. I think that I'm trying to build this idea of an afterlife that is a metaphor for what happens to you when you've kind of gone through a lot of pain and a lot of trauma in your love life in the past. I feel like myself, being a person that's gone through a lot in the past, people can hear that throughout all of our albums and a lot of the songs I've written. You kind of come out of it and you feel like there's this piece of you that's somewhat dead and just lifeless, and no desire and no ability to care and love another person, and I kind of consider that to be the afterlife in this story. And it's about two people that meet in this created afterlife and find love and find a connection almost immediately. There's more to it than that. I'll leave it at that for now, but it's not about any one person or any one relationship in my life. I mean, my current relationship has elements of that, so if you want to consider that to be part of what inspired the story, great. But I think it's a very open-ended, metaphorical approach to just kind of having been in a position where you've gone through a lot and you feel that it's hard for you to kind of let go of that and move on from it and love another person, and then end up, you know, to your surprise, stumbling on that person, and the rest becomes history.
About Necessary Evil, one of your darkest songs ever, features Jonathan Davies of KORN. How did this collaboration came about, and did you write the song together with him, or it was just...
Yeah, we did a tour with KORN in September and October, right in kind of like the tail end of the writing of the album, and that song had not been completed yet, so the music had been done prior to the tour. So when I came off the tour, I just had Jonathan's voice in my head constantly, because he's one of my favorite vocalists in the genre, I guess, overall. And when it came time to write the lyrics and the vocals for that song, his voice was just in my head so much, and the song being very KORN inspired, I think that it just made sense in my head that if I had Jonathan sing on this song, it would be, you know, it would take the song from being like a level, whatever it may have been. I thought it was a great song, so it was like a 10 out of 10 on the album for me, but he took it to like a level 1,000 out of a 10, or 1,000 out of 1,000 for me when I heard it. And it's special for us because I feel like it shows you two generations of the same world. You know, Jonathan's one of the iconic creators and musicians that helped pave the way for us to walk, and it just shows you, you know, the creator versus the I don't want to say pupil or student, but you know, the two generational musicians, you know, the iconic, and then the new up and coming, if you want to call us that, sure, kind of just getting together on one track, and that's what's special to me about it. That's
the spirit. Great. There was a contest for the cover artwork of Grady of Shape. Which was the input that you gave, if you gave any, and was it art to choose a winner? How many artworks did you receive in the end?
We have a couple thousand entries. Yeah, it was very complicated, very hard for us, because there was a few that really said what we wanted to say with the title. I think, had we chose any of them, I think it would have been a win for us. You know, we had a runner-up that we really loved a lot. The one that we did go with, it just seemed to be the most memorable one to us. It really said a lot about what we were trying to say with the title. It, to us, looked like a younger version of any of us in the band. You know, when you open the cover, you see my photo looking the same way, so it's kind of like the boy became the man, and it tells a story. And it really bums me out that some of the fans were very unwilling to want to listen or expect that maybe the story had another part after we chose the album cover, and just disappointed at some of the feedback with what we chose. But to us, it's exactly what we wanted to say, and it was very complicated though. Yeah, it was. We felt like it was a win-win or a lose-lose, no matter what, because you lose out on the other ones that could have been great, but you win because you find the one that you really love. It was a really interesting experience for us, but I love the cover, and every time I see the album artwork, I'm like, this just feels bigger and more grandiose than anything we've done before, so I loved it.
But was that, you know, since you saw it, was like the winner since the very first moment, or you had like a top 10 finalist to pick up? We actually had a different one that we saw. It was, as soon as we saw, everyone was kind of like, wow, that's awesome. The one.
That's the one. And over time, as we combed through the remaining, like I said, maybe top 10, the design that we did choose was in the top 10. We just felt ourselves going back to that one all the time. It felt more memorable, it felt more iconic. It just felt like we connected with it more than the other one that we had immediately picked out. But had we chose the other one, I'm sure we would have been just as happy.
The release of the new album was postponed about 5 months, if I'm correct. Did it take longer in the process of writing and recording? And also you lost the keyboardist meanwhile, Joshua went out of the band. So what happened? I mean, it was just a longer process, or?
It was, I mean, we definitely took longer to do the album than we originally wanted to.
Okay.
We had talked long before the album was released about wanting to put it out in the fall, and then we ended up not finishing it before Warped Tour that we did in the summer. So we knew we were gonna have to go back after Warped Tour, which would have postponed it. So it ended up getting moved to winter 2017 was what it was said, and we finished it in December. And I felt that it still could have come out in what would have been the winter, you know, before the end of March. But in talks with Roadrunner, you know, they made the call to push it to May because we wanted the proper time to have the promotion and marketing for it and really get the singles out. And it was, I understood, you know, we didn't want to rush things. Even though that there had been a song out already and people knew about the album, we didn't want to rush what every band usually does in trying to get that proper build and that tension to rise for the actual release. So they suggested May, and that's kind of just what ended up happening. And I was so bummed because I was like, oh God, here it comes. Winter 2017 is not in May. I was like, I could just hear the fans talking shit on winter 2017, and I was like, fuck it. God, it's not my call here, it's the label's call. And, and you know, they obviously have they're a very successful label for a reason, and you have to, you know, stand by their choices just as much as what we want to do.
Sure.
And it worked out.
You've been compared to Marilyn Manson. Is he a main influence for you, or it goes way deeper, just like, you know, that you had maybe the same story, same influences as he had, and it turned out to be something similar? And which are the pros and cons of such a comparison?
Yes, that's definitely the most common comparison that I get, and I mean that's fine with me. Obviously, he's definitely a very heavily influential artist in my life. I think that, much like we talked about Jonathan earlier, he's an iconic artist that has helped pave the way for bands of our generation to come in and do what we do, to make a lot of things our own and piece together things that we loved about all these different bands that made us want to play music and come in and make it our own. It doesn't bother me. I used to a lot, but now it's either, it only happens for two reasons. People either want to hate the band for whatever reason and say this guy looks like Marilyn Manson or this band sounds like Manson wannabes, and they hate us for that reason because they need a reason, and that's just the easiest target. Or then I like it because other people are like, oh, this band or this artist reminds me of something else that I love, which is Marilyn Manson. I want to listen to this band because of that. And it goes in both of those exact ways, and I just don't even care anymore. I mean, he's definitely a big influence and a big artist for me, so it is what it is. If people are going to compare it, that's fine. I think the only thing that drives me fucking crazy about it is when people are like, well, I listened to the Motionless album, and why would I listen to that when I could go listen to Marilyn Manson? That mentality has always confused me, because if you like Marilyn Manson and you think that something else sounds like that, why would you deliberately hate the other? Why wouldn't you be like, I like that? Common logic in my brain says, I like this. This sounds like this to me.
So.
Oh, I can't. Like, why do you have to choose just one? Why can't you like everything?
You can explore, you know.
I never got that mentality, but I think it just stems from people who want to hate the band, and that's just the easiest target that they throw out, and that's fine. I mean, Manson's a huge artist for us and for me, and fuck it,
Your image is something that you worked on a lot also, was projected in a sense, or it evolved, you know, naturally? And how much is the look important, you know, to make your message more clear and strong?
I think it just aids in giving the band more dimension. Like, it's not just a band that you're listening to when you go see us live or when you see photos of us, it adds a whole nother dimension into what Motionless in White is. You know, we try to keep things theatrical and just looking next level. We feel like all of us are coming from a position where before we were in the band we looked, you know, maybe not like how we look now, but we still wore all black and makeup, and some of the guys in the past branched out of that and didn't do things like that, or it took them a little while to come into wearing the makeup, but that's, you know, just the evolution of being a person in general, not just because you're in a band or not. We've gone through a lot of phases, and where we are now, I feel like we've been for the past lot of years, and it's just, this is just who we are. I hate when people are like, this is who I am, this is me. It's true, maybe not, you know, I don't walk around wearing, you know, patent vinyl pants when I go to the grocery store. I like that the band and the performance allows us to put on a little bit more of what we are. It just helps accentuate the personality and the characters that we already are in life, and get to go up on stage. I mean, I don't think really many of the artists that look similar to this go out every day looking like that at all times. And it's cool that we all have that ability and that outlet to go up on stage and become more theatrical and explore that other side of our personality.
Last question for today, or they're gonna kill me. So you had #1 on Billboard's Top Rock Album chart, millions of views on YouTube, and 10 million Spotify streams. Would you exchange all this with sales of millions copies? Do you think that it's easier, but at the same time, in the end, tougher to build up a career nowadays? I mean, you reach millions of potential fans instantly through the media, but you don't gain millions in terms of dollars, you know, anymore. So, would you exchange, like, maybe like dream to go back and be an artist like 20 years ago, or?
I mean, it'd be crazy to put out an album and sell, you know, 1 million copies first week. That'd be just, can't even fathom what that must feel like. I don't know. To me, I think you know, we had a couple moments of sales in the past that I felt really showed that the band was becoming, you know, more popular and more well received amongst a lot of new fans. And I think everyone, I see the first week numbers of a lot of bands that sell records every week, and everyone's declining because it's just people aren't out buying albums anymore. I guess for me, I wouldn't trade any. I mean, I don't fucking care about album sales and the money. I mean, money's rad, and I love having money, and I'm in a lot better spot in my life now than I ever was, and I could thank music and our fans for that, and it's fantastic, but it's not something I would be willing to trade for more. Okay. I like where we are now, and I like that we're a band now that's helping define what it's like to be a band in 2017, or in this age of modern, I don't know, you would call it just the streaming age and the Spotify age. I think the biggest difference for me is that streaming now does count as credited album sales. Sure. And that's huge, because at least if people are going to stream it, it does something for the band. I'm not one of the people that's going to be out there being like, don't stream it, buy the album, you know, spend your money on the album, please, please, please. I just hate like peddling for sales. If you want to listen to our shit, please find whatever way you want to listen to it. All I ask is that, on behalf of, you know, a lot of other artists that may feel the same way as I do, just come to the show and buy a t-shirt and come and sing, and let the band know that you listen to them. Don't miss out on coming to see the show and see the band that you're listening to on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever it is, and that's fine. So please support Motionless in White. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. See you next time when you come to Italy. Ciao, Chris.